Hello world, this is a Monk up to level 40 guide. This is Shadowbringers 5.2. Links in the description for glamour set items. First up, for the weapon, we have the Fist of the Fiends. We have the Replica High Allagan Headgear of Striking, the Mhigan Gown, the Lucien Prince Fingerless Glove, the Dai-ryumyaku Tsutsu-hakama of Striking. God, that took a while. Far Eastern Maiden's Boots. And for the rest of the accessories, you can look them in the description. Welcome to a Shadowbringers Skill Spotlight. At level 34, we get Fists of Wind that increases movement speed. It is instant cast with 3-second off global. It is similar to Fists of Earth in the sense that you can use it between weapon skills. Use this guy to basically avoid telegraphs and reposition. At level 35, we get Shoulder Tackle. Rushes target and delivers an attack with a potency of 100. It's the same as an auto attack potency. Cannot be executed while bound. Examples are stuns, rooted or dead sometimes. It is instant cast with an ability off global of 30 seconds. As a wise man once said, the best way to use something is not to use it. This is a gap closer most of the time, so don't use this as a DPS during your rotation. Just wait till you actually need it. At level 40, we get Fists of Fire, increases damage dealt by 10%. It is instant cast with a 3-second off global, similar to Fists of Earth and Fists of Wind. You can use this guy in between weapon skills. This actually does affect your potency. Hello and welcome everyone. So this is going to be a long trout. Not much to monk up to level 40, except for a couple of mechanical off globals that you really don't need to use in a rotation or in an opener. They just kind of show up as an ebb and flow. You do them when you need to use them, and you just hold on to them when you're not. So the idea behind this video is basically me just showing you guys the ideas or the examples behind them. There's really not necessarily much to this. I'll even post a timestamp to the boss, just so you can just go straight to the prime example of how to use said off globals. Otherwise, I'm just talking gibberish. You can go ahead and skip the rest of this. But it is a long commentary, post commentary, mind you, so it's going to take a bit of time, and I might pause in between these segments so I don't completely destroy my voice. So the idea behind the ebb and flow, that is the shoulder tackle and the fire into wind stance, or the Fists of Fire, and yeah, we had kind of an issue there, but let's just pretend that didn't happen. Our tank blew up basically. And so the idea behind the Fists of Wind and the Fists of Fire is to basically do as much DPS as you can as possible with the Fists of Fire. You're going to be using that 90% of the time, but the other 10% you're going to be using either the Fists of Wind to relocate yourself, or the Fists of Earth to basically do a bit of tanking when necessary. First mini boss here. I'm just going to reposition myself every now and then. Really doesn't change all too much from Monk 30. It's the same rotation. It's basically the iconically same Monk guide as level 30. There's really not much of a change. Monk does fall off in the rotation department. Monk to 30 is pretty rough because there's a lot to explain. Obviously it goes from 0 to 30. Monk 40 is kind of minimal. It teaches you the realistic senses of actually moving into position and when to back off, when to re-initiate again. That's basically the stances. After that, Monk to level 50, we're going to jump into a more advanced rotation of Monk. That's when the actual advanced mechanics of Monk actually start to kick in at level 50. Level 60 is kind of, I'm talking about this stuff because there's really not much else to talk about in this video. Monk at level 60 is quintessentially the same as 40. There's really not a whole lot to talk about. There's a couple of traits and etc., but really not much to go for from there. Monk at level 70 has a couple of more off globals, and things get a little ramped up from there on towards level 80, but from that point we'll just, you know, talk about it as we get there. So that shoulder tackle that I just used there, when it really comes down to it, it is basically just another auto attack. Auto attacks typically do 100 potency in Shadowbringers. In Stormblade they did anywhere from 60 to 100 potency. You could really not gauge it too much because the damage was everywhere. It was too low and it was too high for 60 to 80 potency, so we just kind of gouged it there. The idea behind this dungeon is it's basically a rock cliff, and then inside there seems to be some kind of water biomes. Now the idea behind this dungeon is probably somewhere along the lines of you probably getting lost. The earlier segments of this dungeon are like very small, treacherous labyrinth cave-in sections. You should probably take a look at the map as often as possible, especially if you're the tank. You don't want to confuse the rest of your party members. Very high likely that the rest of them are actually new players as well. I believe we're coming up against the boss. It's quite a long time. I honestly don't have much else to talk about. Oh, of course. Yeah, don't lose your stacks. Your Grease Lightning stacks. You have plenty of mobs. At this moment, you should probably just kind of segment yourself, kind of delay the last combo in your action, so you can actually reset the timer. Resetting the timer is ideal. So here is the example that I mentioned to you before. I picked this dungeon specifically for this, so I can show you guys the idea between swapping fist stances. So Ram of Breath, that's a forward cleave. So it's going to be between the Ram and the Dragon. So for the Ram, we want to leave the boss's melee area. So we want to use Fist of Wind for that. So right here, I'm going to use Fist of Wind to get out of the way and then quickly get back in. I should have used the shoulder tackle, but I used it there. And of course you want to swap back to Fist of Fire before you tackle, so you can ideally do as much damage as possible. So we want to stay in melee for Dragon's Voice. So I can just disregard and keep pushing for damage. So as soon as you see that Ram's Voice or this little marker here, definitely get away. There's a lot of iconic mechanics where you'll see later on, and they're pretty much the same. You just get away with Fists of Wind and you then reinitiate with Fists of Fire, and I forgot to put it on there. There is a 3-second delay before you can actually use it in between each one, but it is iconically the way how you should use it. Ram's Voice, you want to get away from melee and then go right back in there. So it takes a bit of practice. Obviously, you need to know more of the mechanics than the actual idea behind using said off globals. Knowing how to use them is half the battle. Ram's Keeper, I gotta stay away from that. So here I'm using my True North. You shouldn't have it at this level, but I have it, so I may as well use it. And it is quintessentially the same. It's just a repeat over and over again. Once you know the mechanic, it shouldn't be that difficult. Ram's Voice, get away from melee. And then go back in with Fist of Fire. I'm a bit slow on the upkeep, but it's generally how it is. So I forget Fist of Fire here, but Limit Break nonetheless. And that'll be it. Have a good one. Hello world, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash the like and subscribe here. You can also donate if you're interested in supporting the channel. There's some more content for you to watch on the right side. If you're interested in joining my FC, the Tempest Talons, the info is in the top left. I'm mostly taking invites from my YouTube channel subs. And as always, y'all take care and good luck out there.